Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I actually wanted to talk about the Rick and Michonne television show, and I wanted to talk about some interesting stuff that I think we should actually keep an eye out for, because there's going to be some stuff that actually happens behind the scenes, some things that could be announced starting really at any point now. I would say probably, end of November, most likely December or like early January. And all of that is casting information, casting for Major General Beale. The show is beginning filming in January. And so, a lot of that stuff has to be worked up beforehand, which also means the story for the most part has probably been worked out, which is kind of exciting. But yeah, so I want to talk about all that. So before we go any further, obviously make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. I mean, it is kind of cool. Like that's the fun thing about all this here is like, yeah, The Walking Dead is ending in like 3 weeks from now or whatever, but there's still so much to talk about with all this, right? Like there's going to be casting information that comes out there. I mean, literally in January, in 2 months from now, I guess 2.5 months from now, like we're going to be getting our first like on-set photo of Rick Grimes and Michonne, back as those characters. And just to see what that's going to look like, just to see what Rick's outfit's going to be like, because that's the one thing too, is he going to be wearing that same outfit? I'm guessing so, like if they're starting from the beginning, but it's going to be interesting, to see what his look is going to be. There's going to be a lot of things that people just analyze in general, right? So that stuff is starting right away, like literally in like 2.5 months. That's it. I think what's really exciting about a lot of it is that we are going to be getting Red Machete Rick. Like that's basically been confirmed already. Like we are going to be getting Red Machete Rick. And what Gimple means when he says that is that Rick is going to be in a position where he's basically held against his own will, and he can't do anything. He's trying to get to his family. He's trying to get to Michonne. He's trying to get out of this situation, and he's not allowed to. He's not, and I think this was kind of cool because we see our characters dealing with the Commonwealth. We've seen characters on World Beyond, deal with the Civic Republic. It's going to be really cool to see how Rick deals with these characters. And there's a lot of stuff in terms of that first episode that I'm very excited about. I want to see Jadis's return. I want to see how Jadis plays a role in all of this here. And that's what I mean. Like, when people were talking about it being like a limited series, this and that, I think the thing about it is that it could easily be renewed for a season 2, just because of how massive this series is going to be. And I know, like, some people are just saying, well, it's just going to focus on Rick and Michonne. It's not going to focus on the Civic Republic or anything like that. I just don't see how you can really ignore a lot of that. There's also a lot of different aspects to it too. Like, it's not even just the Civic Republic story, which I know a lot of our characters are going to be dealing with, right? Like Daryl's going to be dealing with that in France, it seems like. Maggie and Negan, I'm assuming you're going to be dealing with that. We'll have to wait and see with that. But there's too big of a story here. It's not even just Rick and Michonne reuniting, because that's going to be a whole thing, just to get those two characters to reunite. It's getting Rick and Michonne to reunite with everyone else, and then also reunite with Judith and everyone else, right? Like there's quite a bit of stuff here that I just don't think can really be fully ignored. I think that what they're going to do in this first season here is basically just have Rick and Michonne actually just, the focus is going to be on them reuniting. I really think that's what it's going to be. The whole, like all 6 episodes are going to focus on them battling to find each other, basically. Well, at first, there'll be more Michonne trying to find Rick. And then I think they'll reunite in the finale or in episode 5 at the very end, right? And then we'll just kind of see what happens there at the end and how it really ends their stories. I don't think it's going to necessarily end their stories because it's just too fast, but I think that's where we could get a season 2 easily. I could totally see us getting a season 2, and then we'll just kind of take it from there. Like if Rick and Michonne reunite in season 1 here and they're finally together, I could see in season 2 them maybe like reuniting with other characters, dealing with some more Civic Republic stuff, and then maybe it's over, or maybe you do a season 3 where everyone's more together, right? And then that would be, I guess, 3 years from now where everything would probably come to an end. I could see that being the case here, and I think it makes sense because limited series, they get renewed for another season all the time. It happens, honestly, a lot. Like, it happens all the time. There's a reason I think EW got that information about it being the first season of a continuing series, and you look at AMC's press release, it says it begins with 6 episodes in 2023. So I think that this, I think what they mean by limited is that it's just not going to be this massive series like The Walking Dead. It's going to be something that's like 3 or 4 seasons at the absolute most, and it's probably going to stick to like 6 episodes per season. It's not going to be 16. I guess it could go up to 8 or 10 maybe, but like, you know what I mean? It's basically going to be around there. It's going to be a shorter episode count, and it might not release exactly on time every year, right? Like, that could be one of those things where maybe it comes out next fall, but maybe the next season, like season 2, doesn't come out until spring of 2025, right? Like they could kind of postpone it a little bit like that. I could see that being the case here. Just because, like, you never know. Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrera might have other things that they want to do. You know, their schedules might be full or whatever. So I could see them sort of handling it like this. Because like I was saying, I think 6 episodes just is too short. Like it's not enough to explore and end their character stories. It really isn't. I think 6 episodes is perfect though to reunite those characters. It's a perfect like you could do so much with 6 episodes, and to really have, you know, I guess the first couple of episodes really focusing on Rick and him meeting other people, dealing with Jadis, some other Civic Republic stuff, seeing what Michonne's up to and whatnot. Getting into those episodes there where you're going through episode 1, 2, 3, and 4 and exploring some of that plot, you know, them finding out, seeing each other, just stuff like that. I can see how those 6 episodes could be really the perfect way to tell their story and reuniting them. It's just that there's so much more besides that, right? Like you have to have them reunite with Judith and RJ in Alexandria. You want to have them reunite with Daryl and everyone else. So how do you reunite them, right? Like you can't just have that all happen in 6 episodes. That's why I think there definitely will be more. And I think it has to do more with ratings and stuff like that. I really feel like they're going to be taking it season by season. I mean, technically, I think the reason why people are, and myself as well, you know, feel a little different with this is because The Walking Dead, it was just always assumed it was going to be renewed for another season, but like it was never technically promised. Like it was never ever promised. It was just once a year we would get that announcement, okay, it's been renewed for another season. Like it was never actually promised, but we just kept going based off the comic. Oh yeah, they'll do another one. They'll do another one. Like we just assumed so. So in this situation here, that's why it's a little tricky. We're just assuming so, but like, yeah, obviously when we hear limited series, we're starting to wonder like, what does that mean exactly? But I think they're going to do more. You know, the question of will they do more than 2? We'll have to wait and see. Just get through the first one here, but I definitely think there will be a second season to this. There's no way it can be wrapped up here. There's no way Rick's story can be wrapped up in just one season here, right? And so to get back into some of the exciting stuff here, there's going to be a lot of stuff to look out for here in November and December. I think that, you know, Major General Beale's casting, that's going to be something to look out for. You know, we heard a lot about him in World Beyond. He's a major general. He's definitely like, I don't know if he's the leader of everything. He could be, but his casting is going to be, you know, he's a big character. He's going to be really the ultimate villain that we've ever had on any of the shows because of his position. So it's going to be a pretty big role. It's going to be honestly like him, whoever's playing him, you know, he's going to be basically playing opposite of Andrew Lincoln a lot of the time, right? There's going to be some very intense moments between the two. So this is going to be something like they could announce the casting next month. They could announce it in December and January. Look forward to that. There's going to be some filming locations. We might actually learn very soon where they're planning to film. That's what I mean. There's so much stuff here that's about to come out. There's filming locations. Like if they just say, oh yeah, we're filming in Philadelphia, we know Rick's there immediately, right? If they say we're filming in Florida or wherever, then we know Rick's there. Like it's really going to be one of those things where a lot of information that we've been wondering about is going to start to drop out of nowhere. Directors, writers, and just, you know, other cast members and stuff like that. A lot of that is going to be dropping here, you know, at some point. I'm guessing for sure in December. Some stuff could come out in November. I think if it happens in November, it'll be at the end, but most likely in December and then into January. So yeah, and it's exciting because the story is likely worked out at this point. They already know what's happening over those 6 episodes. The scripts have probably been written. You know, they know who's going to be back. Jadis, I'm assuming, is going to be back here for this first season. So I'm excited to see her back here. They haven't announced it yet, but I'm assuming sometime soon they're going to be announcing a bunch of cast members. So I think it would be really cool if Viggo Mortensen played Major General Beale. Like, I've always had this sort of picture in my head that, I mean, obviously we've talked about Viggo Mortensen playing like Rick Grimes' younger brother or older brother or something like that. I think it would be so cool if he played Major General Beale. I just think it would be so cool to have those 2 actors together. And I'm just trying to think of some of the actors that you can actually have on this show here, because there's a lot of stuff that you can do here to make this really exciting. And whoever you cast as the villain there could honestly really take a lot of the spotlight away from like Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrera, right? Like, imagine if you actually had like Pedro Pascal playing Major General Beale, or maybe if you had what's his name? I can't remember his name, but he plays Gus on Breaking Bad. You know, like there's a lot of casting options here that if you got certain actors to play that role. And I think that this is a role that needs that type of presence. I think you need to have an actor that is really famous who who is people really like to be playing. Like, I think you can't just get an unknown character for this, or unknown character, but an unknown actor for this. I think you need to get somebody who is pretty well known. You know, it would be equivalent to the Jeffrey Dean Morgan casting as Negan, because a lot of people were wondering, like, who is going to come into the show and actually give life to that character. And, you know, when they announced the casting, I still remember it was like perfect, you know, and it wasn't necessarily the same with Samantha Morton or like Ryan Hurst as Beta. You know, and even with the Commonwealth, with some of the characters there, you know, the last real big casting was, I would say, Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan. It definitely was something that when they announced it, people were excited and hyped. I think for this role here, if you get a certain actor to come in, it could really change a lot here, and it could make everything very exciting. Because that's the one thing I will say about The Walking Dead. It is kind of weird that they don't get well-known actors to play certain parts, because I think they could. Like they definitely could, and I think it would change the, I guess, boring narrative that people find with The Walking Dead, because a lot of people just say that The Walking Dead is just boring, this and that, right? I'm not saying like we say that, just it's popular to hate on The Walking Dead sometimes online, right? Like I see a lot of people saying like, oh, is that show still on? I think getting a bigger actor to play that role would just be perfect, and I think could actually create a lot of excitement. So yeah, I'm very excited here. I can't wait to see what's actually going to happen here with the Rick and Michonne TV show. There's going to be a bunch of stuff that does actually come out, so I'm hyped. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna leave it here. Definitely post your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.